Well, with the Six Nations on hold, doesn't mean we can't go and have a look at some of the top performers from each team for the games that have been played. Each team's played, well, some teams have played a different number of games. Each player's played a different number of minutes, but AWS do the stats for the Six Nations this year, maybe last year as well. And there's a fair bit there. I'll see if I can remember to link that site down in the description because there's, yeah, man, if you're interested in stats or you do sports betting or, I don't know, if you're just keen on rugby, there's some very interesting numbers there for both team stats and player stats. So I've gone over the player stats and I've picked one player who I think is their best. I use that word loosely, man. There's a lot of good players from many of the teams, and you could argue one way or the other. But I've picked 6 players who've the best performers from the Six Nations 2020 thus far. I'll go over some of their key stats, what were the key elements of why I picked them, and as always, you guys can let me know your thoughts as well. For France, I have gone with the tournament's top try scorer. I could have gone with Dupont, I could have gone with Tamac because those guys have been stars of the show as well. But I've gone with Charles Olivon, the loose forward. He has 4 tries, which makes him the top try scorer of the Six Nations outright thus far. And he's also got 4 try assists, which, along with Dan Bigger, makes him the top try assist man in the tournament as well. So the guy is either having a direct hand in getting some points on the board by scoring the tries, or he is providing that final ball to his teammates to get over the line. I like tries, so it's kind of no surprise that I picked a guy who's had such a key influence over that area of the game. However, he's not just limited to that, man. You can have a good team where you've got one guy who just happens to finish off the tries. If you look at his run meters, he's at 175 from 29 carries throughout the tournament. So that's 6 meters a carry. I don't know if you've seen some of the games. There are guys who go backwards when carrying. There are guys who maybe would struggle to make a meter per carry. But the fact that he goes 6 meters forward every carry, obviously there's going to be sometimes when he's got into an open break and maybe got 20 or 30. But you know what I mean. Someone's ringing. Better get that. Right, that was just Antoine Dupont who was calling me an outrage to see why I didn't pick him as the key man. Well, like I mentioned, he's had a whole bunch of carries, and defensively he's been very good. He's not the best guy defensively. There are guys who have better numbers. 55 out of 59 tackles. 55 from 29 would be impressive. So that's about 14 tackles a game, which is a pretty good shift. Anything above 10 is getting high. And of those 55, he's made 9 dominant tackles. So he's kind of not quite as an all-rounder as I will get to later, but he is kind of doing each aspect of his game pretty well. He also includes 25 line-out wins, which is the top in the Six Nations by 10. So the next best guy in the Six Nations has 10 fewer line-out wins than him. He also has 1 line-out steal. He's not been perfect. None of these guys, none of them have been totally perfect. If you look at his game for weaknesses, 8 handling errors, which I guess means, it's good that he's being asked to carry as often as he is, and he's making the key contributions at times, but sometimes he is spilling the pill, and he's conceded 3 penalties, which is not terrible for the amount of games played, but still, it's higher than many of the other guys as well. So yes, I've gone with Charles Olivon for France. For England, I've gone with another forward, the dominant tackler, and that is Maro Itoje. That guy's defensive efforts are probably the best in the Six Nations. The guy is immense. So he is the top tackler in the Six Nations with 74 tackles in 4 games. He's only missed 2 tackles the whole time he's been playing, so he's got 2.6% missed tackle rate. So he's like 90% in terms of his tackling. So 97.4. Very, very accurate in terms of his tackling. 18.5 tackles a game. Remember I mentioned it was 14 for Olivon. So he ups that by 4.5. So again, immense on defense. But if you look at his dominant tackle stats, remember Olivon had 9. Itoje's got 20. 20 times, and they didn't exactly say what a dominant tackle is, but I think we can all kind of get a feeling for it. When you get the guy, you put him on his backside and you usually drive him backwards. So the opposition's losing ground, we're running into this guy. So that's 27% of his tackles. You've got a 1 in 4 chance. If he tackles you, you're going backwards. And it's often when you go backwards that allows your other loosies to grab a turnover, that kind of stuff. So yeah, man, defensively, absolutely a rock in that English defense. He is also the number 1 turnover man when you're looking at the total, even though I've got another guy from Italy who's going to be my turnover guy. So he's had 4 turnovers on the ground and 5 turnovers in the tackle. They split them out for the Six Nations, so 9 turnovers in total. Again, he is not perfect. Handling errors, he's had 6. Penalties conceded, he's had 6. So the fact that he is doing what he does on defense means he's more likely to give away a penalty just by the fact that he's being where he is. If you're looking for a drawback aside from the discipline or the odd handling error, I mean, where Olivon had kind of a nice balance of also a bit of attacking prowess, Itoje's running at like 38 meters is nothing to write home about. He hasn't broken a single tackle, and his line-out numbers are pretty good, but like not the best for him. Like Courtney Laws has got better line-out numbers. So yeah, man, still, Itoje has been immense, and pretty happy to have him on board. Next from Italy, I'm a turnover man who's more than just the turnovers. I could have given him a different description, but Jake Polledri. That guy is such a star. I mean, I don't mean to sound rude, but I kind of wish sometimes he played for a better team, a team that could do him a bit more justice than Italy. They don't get the results, but I mean, there's been plenty of good players for Italy in the past whose team hasn't got the results, but individually they do really well. He's got 7 turnovers, so fewer than Mara. But remember, he's played 1 game fewer as well. So 4 turnovers on the ground, 3 in the tackle. So if you're counting it like turnover per game, then he's at a slightly higher rate than Itoje. But what he does also have is like a proper power game. I mean, he's a loosie, not a lock. I mean, Mara plays loose from time to time, but 186 run meters from 34 carries, so he's at 5.4 meters per carry, which kind of like Olivon is top stuff. He's beaten 6 defenders, which is second overall in the Six Nations. Remember, he's played 1 less game. If you go on by the number of games played, he would be first in terms of defenders beaten. 49 out of 51 tackles gives him a 96% tackle rate. So aside from the turnovers and aside from the blockbusting runs, he can also add that defensively as well. I guess if you look at his weakness, though, I mean, 16 tackles a game, that's not weak. Weakness, 4 turnovers conceded and 5 penalties conceded. Not a big line-out man with just 2 line-out wins. So, again, it's like if you're getting a guy who's getting turnovers and making lots of tackles, again, kind of to be expected, there will be times when you pay for that. Turnovers conceded, I guess, is a bit frustrating. Maybe at times he gets too far ahead of his own runners that he gets turned over if he gets isolated. But anyway, Polledri. Next, my meter eater. That's my man from Scotland. That's Stuart Hogg. He has more run meters in the Six Nations this year than anybody else. And he's a fullback, so some of those you kind of get for free. Like you get the ball from a kick and you start running it back. So some of those meters, admittedly, are for free. But he is still the top run meter guy. And he's also in the top 4 for tackles beaten or broken with 5. So you expect that from Hogg, man. He's dangerous with ball in hand. He's going to get meters. He's going to break tackles. His numbers with the boot are solid. I mean, most of the guys, if you're looking at kick meters, they're mostly the number 10s, some of the 9s. I think Bouthier from France does have more meters than him, but with that artillery gun boot of his, it's kind of not surprising. But Hogg is still well up there. And he's had a try and a try assist. So, again, man, in some games where they have struggled for tries, he has been one of their key contributors. Just generally looked very dangerous. 76% is his tackle rate. And I looked at that and thought, for a fullback or an outside back, that's actually pretty good. But maybe I was thinking too much about Super Rugby because I compared him to some of the other guys like Bouthier, I think like Elliot Daly. I forget who else I compared. I think Jordan Lama yeah, his defensive overall numbers is not maybe as high. I think Lama's only made like two tackles, but made both, no misses, like 100%. But anyway, so I think the 76% is okay. It's not exceptional, but it's all right. If you look at other drawbacks, though, I mean, that blown try against Ireland, that's a huge one. A few too many handling errors and turnovers conceded and whatnot, but I still think he certainly adds a lot of punch to that Scottish attack. The all-rounder, which is not really a name that does this guy justice, because it's essentially he's very good at everything he does. I don't think he's the number one guy for anything, but everything he does is pretty much very good, golden. And his drawbacks are maybe a bit less than some of the other guys. Like, he's a bit more balanced in terms of his play. So it's Justin Tipuric. Hey, if you're a Wash fan, you know he's been everywhere. He's got 3 tries and a try assist. So he's been on fire in terms of getting on the board. He's second overall with Josh Adams. I mean, Josh Adams, you kind of expect him to be scoring tries, but yeah, I think he's played more games than Adams, though, because Adams has been injured. As I said, he's one of the most all-round guys you'll see. He's got a good running game, 128 meters from 25 carries, so 5 meters per carry, very good. Along with that, he's got good ball handling, so he's got 7 passes per game, which again is a lot compared to some of the other guys. Some of the other guys just tuck and run, but he's quite capable of acting as a distributor. I mean, look at the other Lucies, 7 passes per game for him. Yeah, Olivon's had less. His tackling rate's good, 98.4%, 64 out of 65. 64 out of 65, so he's been on form there. 6 of his tackles are dominant, so again, not quite at that Atoje level, but he's still adding some value there. Plus 5 turnovers, so 3 on the floor, 2 in the tackle. My notes are not very good. Handling errors, penalties conceded, they're all there. But when you compare him to a lot of the other guys, they're a lot less. So I think overall, man, he's got the try scoring, he's got the tackling, he's got the turnovers. The guy is just a complete package. So, yeah, man, he's having a stellar season. Shame about Wales' results, but again, that's kind of what happens sometimes. And lastly, I've called him the Machine. You probably know who I'm talking about if you're an Irish fan. James Ryan. Ryan is another kind of all-rounder for Ireland. I mean, he's a work rate machine. So like some of the other guys, he's played every minute of the 3 games he's been asked to play. Obviously, they haven't played as many games because, you know, the postponements. His tackle count, his meters, his carries, all his numbers are really, really high. He's one of the top carriers per game. He's had 38 carries in the 3 games he's played. So he averages like 4 meters. It's 145 meters that he's made. The fact that he's made 38 carries for a lock. I mean, who else was above him? There weren't many guys anyway. I think, yeah, the other guys above him, like Hadley Park, CJ Stander, Nick Tompkins, Lee Halfpenny, Tom Curry. There's not many guys above him, and some of those guys have played more games. So he is a machine of a player. He just looks for work. In terms of his tackles, he's had 43 tackles, and that's 14 tackles a game. So again, he's up there. And his dominant stats are also pretty good. He's got 10 dominant tackles, so 23%. So not that far below Mara Itoje. He is, I mean, the guy's only young. He's going to just have such a career. Line-out wins, he is second in the Six Nations. Remember, he's only played 3 games. He's had 15 line-out wins, plus 1 line-out steal. I look at his stats, and again, he's a very all-round guy. Does the tackles, does the set piece, does the ball and hand stuff. If you're looking for weaknesses in this guy's game, I guess maybe he's kind of predictable when he's got the ball compared to most of the other guys. Like, if he's got the ball, 82% of the time, he's taking it into contact. He's not gonna pass. Partly that's Ireland's game plan, you know, keep it tight sometimes, but yeah, 82% of the time he's keeping it tight. If you compare him to someone like Alwyn Jones, who's a similar kind of high work rate player, his is like 67%. So he's, I guess, got a bit more of a bag of tricks. James Ryan, if he's running at you, you can be pretty confident he's going to tuck the ball under his shoulder and just and go for it. But yeah, man, Some top players in the Six Nations thus far. We can't wait to see them back in action. When is that going to be? That remains the question, but we will enjoy what we've seen thus far. You can always rewatch some of it. If you haven't seen some of the games, I suggest going to watch them while they're still available online. But yeah, guys, you guys let me know your thoughts. Who would your top 6 guys have been? One guy from each team. As I said, you could pick Ntamak. You could pick Dupont from France. For England, you could look at Tom Curry, Underhill, also been very good. I mean, even some of those unfancied players in England have also been put in pretty good performances. For Italy, Tommaso Ellen's also very consistent. Scotland, the likes of Watson and Ritchie have also been putting in some proper shifts. For Wales, Tompkins has really good numbers, but he's kind of more of a give and take one. Like, he's got really good numbers in some areas and kind of bad numbers in some other areas as well. So still adding a massive impact and still being fine-tuned at the international level. And, for Ireland, like I mentioned, CJ Stander as well has been performing very well, but it's not just him. I thought Lama's kind of stepped up at fullback, but yeah. You guys let me know your thoughts. Who would you have had? Who do you agree with, disagree with? And yeah, talk to you again soon. See you later.